in Africa, black Africans had to wear chains when they went on the ship. The white slave owners would put on chains on black people to keep them from running or moving or trying to break free, because Africans are fast runners. We know, like, we see a lot of track, right? We see a lot of African Americans are fast runners. So to keep them from running in slavery times back in the 16, 1700s, they would put on chains on black people, arms and their legs and their necks to keep them from running. They actually had this old big old thing they put around Africans' necks to keep them from running. If they tried to run, they get all tangled up in the bushes and they'll die. So they put a whole bunch of chains. And even now you see inmates in prison, in jail, who they put that on, inmates too. They put them on chains to keep them from running. And I think it's still bad. I feel sorry for the Africans that were stolen from Africa, forced on a ship. There are some Africans who did get away. If they could run fast or they can move, they know where to go. But a lot of Africans were stolen. They had nets, and they were sneaky. They had these big, strong black guys who went out there and captured these slaves, African slaves. And most of the time, these were slaves who were by themselves, and they had nowhere to go. So they chain them up. They put on these chains and they put them on a ship and chain them up to in the ship, and it was horrible. So yes, you notice that if you see pictures, you can look at the pictures on Google, and then you'll see that there was a lot of African Americans who had to wear slaves chains on them to keep them from running. Especially, they would get whipped too. So it was not 17, 1800s was pretty much a messed up time for a lot of African Americans, because they would get beat if they tried to run away. If they try to run, if they try to escape, they get beaten if they get caught. So most of the times when slaves would run, they would run at nighttime, because if you run at nighttime, most times the slave owners are asleep at night. So a lot of black slaves would run. They would wait till at midnight, about around midnight, 11, 12 o'clock. They would run, and they run real fast. And if you keep running, you don't stop. If you don't sleep, because if you stay down, like I said, if African Americans you cannot rest. You cannot sit down for 2 minutes. You have to keep running. To get free, you have to run, 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 run. A lot of African Americans would run at night, and they would get on a boat, and then they would travel to another city, somewhere, another plantation. You know, but yeah, I feel bad for the Africans who had to wear chains, because this I never had chains, but just imagine, like it's like when cops arrest you, they put on that thing around your hands, to keep you from running. But yeah, Mr. J here, peace.